myself.
Wait.
Okay.
That's live.
All right.
Now you can introduce yourself.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody.
Welcome.
My name is Mark Reed. I'm Director of Purchasing for the Chicago Fire District, and it is my pleasure to be here today to discuss how to do business with the Chicago Park District.
Press the down arrow.
Down there, okay. Okay. So, the Chicago Park District, we are definitely an organization who loves to bring new business to our organization. We are a compliance-driven organization. We are 25% MBE and 5% WBE. And our web page gives a vast amount of information in regards to how to do business with the Chicago Park District. Our projects are posted quite often. It also gives you information regarding our B2G compliance system that we use, and also other information pertaining to our contracts library, things of that nature. So it is a very good page on our website, and we're at www.chicagoparkdistrict.com. And right here you can get a lot of information on how to get directly to our page. It gives you step-by-step instructions, and once you get to the page, you can also download different documents that we have, current solicitations, view a list of firms that we have downloaded for IFBs, RFPs, and RFQs. You can view and download any bid tabulations after bids are received. Also view and download active contracts, anticipated procurement opportunities, which would be new contracts, of course, that are on for award, our RFQ pools. We have pools that are available right now for general contractors and also rapid response that are currently up and available. And that is up for until next year, December of 2020. So anybody can submit their qualifications for those pre-qualified pools at any time. Rapid response the cutoff will be at December of this year, but the general contractors pool will last until 2021. So you have all next year to submit for that, in case any of you all in the construction industry. You can also view and download general conditions for all of our IFBs, RQs, and RFPs, just so you'll understand about the different conditions that are necessary for bidding CPD contracts. Also register your firm for the CPD's vendor database, link to other sister agencies, and also link to our MBE and WBE assist agencies. So our website gives you a vast amount of information, and it can actually be a very good tutorial for you in terms of learning how to work some of our systems, learn a lot about our general conditions and things of that nature. Let me slow down in my speech. So it is very informative for you. Our staff is broken up. We're a staff of 12 people. Our department is broken up in 3 different areas. We have a small purchase program that is purchases from $10,000 and below. That is a very good program for a lot of the small businesses that can use, because our park supervisors and our park personnel have the ability to purchase from whatever vendor they choose for any items that are $5,000 and below. So we always encourage vendors to go out to our parks, solicit what you can offer, to the different parks, and a lot of business has been achieved through that area through our small purchase program. Our advanced buyers are our contractual buyers, where they handle all projects for long term, $10,000 and above. Those contracts are basically worked through our user departments, and we compile scope of services, other conditions that are needed, that are necessary for bids, and then those bids are actually put out for advertisement for people to submit their bids, their proposals, or their qualifications, whatever it is, has been advertised at that particular time. So that's the responsibility of our advanced buyers to monitor that and administer that. Our compliance department is made up of 4 individuals, and they are responsible for the management and the execution of our MBE and WBE program. That is our highest visibility program within the purchase department. And the things that they do, and I have May Kelsey here, my deputy director, who will discuss more about our different MBE and WBE programs that we use. But based on that 25 and 5, we are very strict with that. We grant very few waivers. In fact, we are, right now, we have about, at the end of 2018, we had 305 contracts, and of those 305 contracts, only 3 waivers were awarded to vendors. So we are very, very strong in making sure that our compliance is met for M and WBE participation. We are not a certifying agency. May discuss more about that, but yeah, we definitely make sure that that's attained. So that is the breakout of our department. Again, I'm the director. My deputy is here. We also have a person manager that manages our small business program. Compliance officers, advanced buyers. I'm sorry, Jeff.
Can we ask questions now, or can we interrupt?
Yeah, after the presentation would be good.
Oh, okay.
Right.
All right, that's fine.
After his
Okay.
presentation, and I'll give you a few minutes and then we'll let Brenda go.
So a little more discussion about our MBE and WBE compliance program. The policy of the Chicago Park District establishes a goal of awarding not less than 25% of the annual aggregate dollar value of all contracts to qualified MBEs and 5% of the annual aggregate dollar value of all contracts to qualified WBEs. This is part of our code. It always has been, and we will continue to adhere to that code. The commitment may be met by the following. The bidders or protester status as an MBE or WBE. We definitely encourage vendors who are obtaining it or trying to obtain their M and WBE to continue to do so. We do know that it can be cumbersome, but also know that at the end of that, there is definitely a lot of opportunity for M and WBE participation. So again, we're not a certifying agency, but we definitely encourage you to do so through the city of Chicago, through the state of Illinois, through Cook County, and other agencies as well. So please keep that in mind. A joint venture with one or more MBEs or WBEs as a prime contractor. Number 3, subcontracting a portion of the work to one or more MBEs or WBEs. Number 4, the purchase of materials or services for the work from one or more MBEs or WBEs. And 5, the indirect participation of MBEs and WBEs in other aspects of bidders or proposals business. With indirect participation, we have a lot of discussion with vendors regarding indirect participation, because a lot of times the specialty that we have with certain projects, it's hard to obtain direct participation, but there's so many different arenas that we can achieve our goal for M and WBE through indirect participation. So that continues to strengthen and widen opportunities for small vendors, that subcontractors, when there's indirect participation that can be achieved and approved, or any combination of above for the commitment of our MBE WBE compliance program. As I mentioned earlier, at the end of 2018, the Chicago Park District had 305 contracts that are active. The numbers have probably increased to maybe around 325, 330 right now. But we have a lot of contracts at the Chicago Park District. As you can see, a majority of them are construction. We also have management contracts. Our management contracts are vendors who manage our large venues and our harbors and things of that nature. For example, we have a management company that manages Soldier Field, which is on our land. We also have a company that manages our harbor system, our golf courses, also Maggie Daly Park. So we do have various management companies who manage those areas, and those are revenue generating areas that we keep a close eye on. And management companies definitely make sure that we adhere to that. Materials and supplies and professional services. So all 4 categories make up the 305 contracts that we have in the Chicago Park District. So there is many opportunities that are available through all of our contracts. We have different contracts that come up on a weekly, monthly basis that we advertise in different areas, anywhere from plumbing supplies, which will be coming up next year, to electrical, to pool supplies, a lot of stuff that's park district related. We have 603 parks and playgrounds within Chicago. So there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of business, and a lot of necessary work that needs to be adhered to. And we know that a lot of businesses out there can definitely be a part of that. So right now, I'm going to turn it over to May Kelsey. May Kelsey is the Deputy Director of Purchasing, and she is also the person who manages our agency for a long time, so, but she's been a deputy for 3 years now. She's got a project or something over there.
Good afternoon, everyone. There's something I wanted to bring up that Mark talked about. He kept referencing our rapid response contract pool. That's the same thing as the city's job order contract, task orders, again, it's a master agreement, just a clarification. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about how we monitor and audit and ensure that we have MBE and WBE compliance as a part of district. We have two systems that we use. The first system we use is called B2G Now. I don't know who's familiar with B2G Now. Is anyone here familiar with B2G Now? Okay, so it's a system, a tool that helps us monitor MBE and WBE compliance. So payments made to vendors, to prime. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, so how the system works is that if you're a prime contractor with the Park District and you are required to give 25 to 5, you're required to get some compliance on your project. I want to make sure I don't have it too close. Is this too close, guys? Is this close enough?
I got you.
Oh, okay. Okay, can you hear me? All right, so how it works is that when payments are made, when payments are made to our prime contractors, those payments through our Oracle system automatically drop into B2G Now. So once we know that a prime contractor has been paid, the compliance officers then kick in to make sure that they are paying their MBE, WBE subcontractors. So a prime contractor gets paid, that money drops into B2G Now. The prime contractor then has to indicate what MBEs and WBEs he's paying that month out of that payment application. So they'll list who their MBEs and WBEs that they're paying. Then at that time, a notification goes to those MBEs and WBEs saying, hey, this vendor is saying that they're paying you. And so those subcontractors then have to go in and verify their payment. They either verify the payment saying, yes, we got the payment, or they can say, nope, we didn't get the payment, there's a problem. Our compliance officers then are notified that there's a problem. They then can contact the prime contractor to find out why they're not paying their MBEs and WBEs. One of our greatest tools is that we hold payment. If you're not paying your subcontractor, if you're not paying your MBE and WBE firm, we will hold payment. Now, that's a little nuanced because we just don't hold payments just to hold payments. If it's your first payment, we don't assume that you're going to pay your subcontractors out of your first payment, depending on the size of the job, the scope of the job, the length of the job. So we take a look at what the project is. If it's a $100,000 project and you're just getting your first payment of $10,000, you may not be paying your subs on their very first payment. But we keep track of it. We audit it and make sure that you're not at $95,000 and we're just holding payment because you only have $5,000 left and you owe $50,000 out of subcontractors. So our compliance officers do a good job on a monthly basis, monitoring B2G Now, auditing to make sure that our primes are always paying our MBEs and WBEs. And if there are a problem, we get involved to try to rectify what their problem is. But as I said, one of our greatest tools is holding payments. It's amazing when people don't get paid how they'll do what they're supposed to do. So, let's see. I think I said all of that. So, also I want to let you know too, there's other things that not just the prime has to do, but the subcontractor has to do relative to payments, verifying payments. We want waivers of lien, canceled checks, bank statements. Not only do you use the system, but sometimes, we need proof. Not just that MBE or WBE is saying that they got paid, not just that prime saying, oh, we paid them, they just won't go in and approve it. Then you can prove to us that you paid someone by showing us a canceled check, by showing us a waiver of lien. So we need that kind of documentation too, to ensure that the prime is covered and safe, by a vendor that's not doing what a subcontractor that's not doing what they're supposed to do, and we make sure that the subcontractor is safe. If the prime is saying they're paying and they're not, and the prime can't provide proof of that. So we do a really, really good job of making sure everybody stays honest and they get what's due them. The other system we use is LCP Tracker. Is anyone familiar with LCP Tracker? Okay, so LCP Tracker is something that the city of Chicago's used for several years. The Park District just started using it about a year ago. Now, it is a system, it's a paperless system that helps us manage certified payrolls. So, and the reason we use LCP Tracker now is to make sure that people are being paid the prevailing wage, the state of Illinois' prevailing wage in certain job categories. And also, it's a way for us to capture the number of women that are being hired, the number of minorities being hired. We capture what community they're in, whether they're city residents, non-city residents, and all of those things are important to know and be able to capture and know our city residents, our minorities, our women, are they getting the opportunity to work on jobs that all of our taxpayers, if you live in the city of Chicago, the taxpayer money is being used to fund. So LCP Tracker, what happens is that if you're working on a construction project, generally it's limited to construction projects. If you're working on a construction project, you're doing certified payrolls. Those payrolls are, it's simple, LCP Tracker is simple. Our staff can show a prime contractor how to do it. We set the project up in LCP Tracker. Subcontractor can get help from our compliance officers too. And LCP Tracker themselves actually provides training for anyone who's never used it before. Like you guys said, you're not familiar with it. If you were ever to use it, you can contact us. You can contact LCP Tracker directly, and we would be able to walk you through whatever your problem is. We're really good at that. They're really, really good at helping out with that. So it helps us maintain compliance with Davis-Bacon, which is federally, for anybody that doesn't know, Davis-Bacon is if a project has federal funds, it's being federally funded in whole or even in part, then you have to pay according to Davis-Bacon. However, if it's not, if it's state or local funding, then you have to go by the state of Illinois' prevailing wage. What happens if we find out, well, a couple things happen. That can go wrong. If you're not paying someone the prevailing wage in their job category, it won't allow you to submit or certify your payrolls in our system. If you do not certify the payrolls in your system, guess what we did? We hold your payment until you rectify that problem. If you try to make the case that you're don't have to pay prevailing wage, well, I get to see a case where it was correct, but you can try to make that case, and we bring the state in and try to get clarification on what the rate should be. We've had some instances where the union rate was different than the prevailing wage, but prevailing wage always prevails even over union. So if your union says that a worker should be making $20 an hour, that particular local, and the state says it's 23, you're gonna get $23. So, all of our payrolls and associated documents are required to be inputted into LCP Tracker for every awarded contract that requires them, and those are generally, as I said before, limited to construction. If you don't do what you're supposed to do, we will hold your payment again. So, Mark mentioned earlier about what agency certification that we take. We don't certify anyone. However, we take it from these 7 agencies: the City of Chicago, Cook County, the State of Illinois, which is CMS, the Metropolitan Water District, the Small Business Association, CMSDC, which is the Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council, and the also the Women's Business Development Center, WBEC. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but some of these CMSDC and WBDC are both assist agencies. And I would even go a little step further and say the SBA, in many instances, I think you can consider an assist agency. They will help you. They'll help you get certified, they'll answer your questions, and they'll do a lot of things to help you get your business up and going. That's all 3 of them. You do that, the SBA, the CMSDC, and the WBDC. Any questions so far, guys, on this part?
workshop this week that we've attended. And definitely pride ourselves in giving out information at different workshops. One of the main workshop and events that we have in Chicago Park District is our own vendor networking event. That just passed on September the 26th, but we have an annual fall event at South Shore Cultural Center where we invite all our active contract vendors to South Shore Cultural Center, and we also invite registered vendors who are part of the B2G Now system and other areas where they come out, meet and greet some of our contracted vendors, and so this is your business. So this is what you have, what you can offer. And there has been a lot of success stories that come out of our vendor networking event in terms of being subcontractors or even GCs because of the workshops and the different things that we have and provide information at the vendor networking event. So we definitely encourage everyone to attend that next year. We'll get all the information out to you. And that is it.
Question for you,
Yes, sir.
You were,
Remember our rule?
microphone,
Right, and I have to go to you.
Sorry.
So can you do me a favor?
whatever you want.
Oh, okay, can you wait until, I'm gonna have Brendan come up, he's gonna give a short presentation, then we go for it, and then they will split the mic that Brendan has, so he doesn't have to keep on taking it off and putting it on. Greatly appreciated. And I think Mark, also should have mentioned, a third way that you all get the word out, as well as CTA. We have what we call at the Department of Procurement Services, the buying guide, and their information is in the buying guide. Matter of fact, we have a new one that is days from coming out, and that's like our Bible here, where the information is put in that from every sister agency, so that you have one place to see what the opportunities are for an 18-month stretch, so that you can then plan or prepare or see what they're thinking for the next 18 months. And we do this quarterly so that you can project and they can project what they're going to be doing out in the future and get the bids out and advertisement and all of that good stuff. But you also will be able to know what's on that deck or what is coming up on deck. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and have Brendan come on up, and he's going to go through his portion for CTA. And then you over here. Let you come up here.
Can everyone hear? Okay, good.
Yep.
So, thank you, Jackie. My name is Brendan Woodtree. I'm with Chicago Transit Authority and Purchasing, and I'm just going to give you kind of a brief overview, high level of what we do, and kind of essentially, yeah. So, without further ado, just kind of an overview of what CTA is. Second largest public transit agency in the country. We cover the city, but also a lot of the outlying suburbs, which I think some people, when you realize just how expansive the network is, it's not only covering the entire city, but a lot of the inner ring suburbs as well. And we provide the metro region along with PACE, and when you consider PACE, Metro, and CTA, CTA is providing almost 5 out of 6 rides on a daily basis. So that's just kind of some of the statistics we have. Millions of rides every day, hundreds of thousands of miles traveled daily, trains, also the night, and we have a very large fleet, buses and rail cars. So we have a very expansive network, and with that comes a lot of contracting opportunities for maintenance of commodities, professional services, everything that you can imagine. So we awarded 677 contracts in 2017, over $700 million in contracts from construction and across all categories. Our supply chain operations, it's a 24-hour operation. They operate 3 warehouses and 18 stock rooms across the city, distributing parts and supplies to all the various garages and rail yards. Our WBE program is kind of our WBE program, so it's all one program small business program, specifically set aside for small businesses. I think that slide's coming up, but we've awarded, that number continues to grow in terms of number of contracts and also the dollar value of those contracts that we've awarded through this program. Moving along, kind of just to illustrate kind of the methods of procurement, kind of go through this briefly. I'm sure some of this is probably very familiar. Most contracts are historically were IFBs, where it's lowest responsible bidder. An RFP is a request for proposal, so that's going to be a little bit more give and take in terms of the technical merit of the proposal, but also the cost, and it's a best value, so there's going to be some trade-off, and there's kind of a continuum of both factors. Things that we've done at CTA, along with the other sister agencies in the city, is to harmonize to the extent we can our contract language, updating clauses, streamlining the process, and making it more transparent, and working with our using department and the diversity department at CTA to enhance the vendor experience for entities that are looking to do business with CTA. So in terms of kind of just practical things and doing business with CTA or any of the other agencies, is knowing the nature of what business you're doing, strategic advantages you have, knowing what paperwork and forms need to be filled out. A lot of agencies have different requirements. And again, that's one project that we're working on with sister agencies in the city, is to harmonize that. Knowing also all the websites where solicitations are posted, how to get email blasts, sign up for that information. I'll show you that in just a moment. And then also just knowing the entities themselves.
What did you do, Brandon? I'll let you have this. I'll let you have this one.
All right, sorry for that brief station break. So as I was saying, obviously just knowing the agencies, going out to the events, the workshops, and asking questions is another way to kind of just just knowing how to avoid pitfalls that can come up inadvertently when filling out all the declarations and filling out a bid package. So now actually getting into kind of the meat and potatoes and the more practical stuff is how to sign up. So if you go to our website, transitchicago.com, you'll come to the main screen, and then you'll have our right-hand side of the screen, you'll have more information, and then there'll be a tab for procurement info. If you click on that, it will bring you to our main procurement page, where we'll have all the information about contract opportunities, how to register, our buying plan, our rules and regs, and everything that you could imagine. It's kind of the clearinghouse for all the information on how to do business with CTA. So yeah, so registration is fairly simple. That will allow you to sign up, select your NAICS codes, and then provide your email address so you can get notifications of when new opportunities are posted to our website. And also, if you're a registered WBE, it would allow we also use B2G as well, so we'll allow prime contractors that are looking for certified businesses, it will allow you to show up there. Also, just kind of a practical tip is making sure that information is up to date. Like if you have an employee who's signed up with their own email address, like their company email address, and they've left, that email address would need to be updated so it's not going to an empty inbox. When we have contracts and we're sending out email blasts, we'll get bounce backs frequently, and every time there's a bounce back, that means that's a business that's not getting our email. So I'd recommend making sure that it's either just kind of a static email address that multiple people can access, as opposed to, you know, Joe at X ABC company. And that way, if someone comes or goes, that information is still going to the company. So then our next tab is contract opportunities, which will list all the various contracts that we'll be able to have. You'll also be able to filter out between the various categories. If you're doing professional services and you have nothing to do with construction, you won't have to filter through and figure out which ones actually might be of interest to you, and so on. So common bid issues, I kind of alluded to this earlier, missing certifications and disclosures, missing signatures on forms or notarization. Another big one is if you have multiple people signing proposals on behalf of your company, if they're not a president or a VP of the company, they'll need some kind of documentation from the company that is giving them the authority, be it part of like an operating agreement, bylaws, something that can demonstrate that they have the ability to bind the entity to contracts. Finally, or the last two are big ones that also come up as well, is taking exceptions or adding additional terms in an invitation for bids that will result in the bid that's submitted being found non-responsive and being removed from consideration. Also, forgetting to acknowledge addendums or addenda in bids, especially when there's revised proposal pages. That's also going to be an instance where a proposal or a bid can be found non-responsive. Some upcoming opportunities we have right now on our website is for cleaning services and labor for our emergency exits on the subway system, elevator floor replacement, as well as extermination services for our rail fleet. Finally, here's our link to our procurement website. It's transitchicago.com/procurement. That way, if you want to avoid clicking through, you'll be able to go straight there. Also, I brought copies of our buying plan. It's available online, but I also have hard copies here if you'd like. And I think at this time, I think we're ready for questions, Jackie.
Okay. You keep that. Mark and Chad.
Sure. Thank you. Mr. Reed?
Yes.
You were speaking to the small purchase program,
Yes.
and I just want to make sure I heard, or make sure I heard what I thought you said. You referenced specifically going to field houses and soliciting, is that correct?
That's correct. The park supervisors of the region personnel have the authority to choose vendors for any purchases of $5,000 and below.
Sure.
It's part of our small purchase program. So a lot of times we do encourage vendors that might offer, for example, arts and crafts supplies, to go out to those different parks, solicit your product.
And what's the title of the individual that we should be asking for or saying?
Park supervisor.
Park supervisor?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This question is also for Mr. Reed. I'm interested in concession opportunities for the Park District, and it seems like that really doesn't fall in any of these categories. And I know the Park District does have a specific site for that, but unfortunately it's never up to date, and they don't have any new information out. And I know last year the deadline for bids and proposals was
Wait.
I believe it was like November 28th, and November is closely approaching, so I would like to please find some information on how to apply and what the requirements are, because their site is really very little information about it.
Okay, so the question is regarding concessions and updated information regarding that. Okay. The concessions is run through our Department of Revenue. The director, Dana Zielinski. I will give her that information in regards to what updates she can put out there on the website. I don't have the answers for you as far as when the next round will be for concession applications. sure that that information is conveyed and updated.
Thank you.
Can I just,
Sure.
should you contact the Department of Revenue?
Yeah, the question is contact, yeah, you can contact the Department of Revenue, you can go to our website, there should be a link directly to the Department of Revenue's page, and should be able to send an email as far as contact to that department, but I'll relay that information too.
Also, is there anything in the meantime that I need to do in order to be allowed to put a bid in on that?
For the session?
Yes.
No, because once the opportunity availability is posted, yeah, all the information for your submittals will be online. So to give you all the submittal requirements on there.
Okay. I guess I've got one more for Mr. Reed. Your lucky day, I guess, right?
That's all right.
So I thought I heard the gentleman from the CTA suggest that a subcontractor, if you're listed and you want to be a sub for a prime, it will flag the prime, is that correct? Flag the prime subcontractor, or prime contractor rather, does that make sense?
Hold on, go ahead and ask your.
So I'm curious if the Park District has a similar notification or process by which if you're a sub and there's a prime on the job, the prime may reach out to the sub for NBE, WBE work. Make sense, clear as mud?
I'm gonna let him answer first.
So, I think perhaps maybe I crossed the wire. So like the BTG system will allow prime contractors to search for a specific category. It wouldn't necessarily send a notification to a prime.
But
So-
they can search though.
Yeah, they would be able to search for certified firms through the B2G system. And
That's
off
the
the
same system we use.
Yeah, I was about to say ditto.
Okay,
Yeah,
so-
the same way,
The
right?
prime could search if they wanted to.
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
Is there
But let me just say that there are events that we do have, that we try to have matching events there. And so I know the Department of Procurement Services give 2 events every year. We give the Construction Summit and the Vendor Fair, and that we have a matching component where we invite primes and we match subprimes with subcontractors with primes. So if you're interested in that, keep looking into your DPS alerts,
Okay.
because you'll be getting one for February for the Construction Summit.
Construction Summit.
And the one for the Vendor Fair is in July.
Okay, great.
May also brought up a good point too, is that when we have contracts that are advertised, there is a contractor solicitation list that comes out. So you can also go to that list and see who might be a prospective bidder or proposal for that project, and you can reach out to them directly, for subcontract opportunities as well.
So on our webpage, there's a section, on our webpage, there's a section where solicitations are open. You can go on there and you'll see who signed up to download the solicitation. And you can market yourself to those prime contractors that are there. And then the prime contractor can also see what subcontractors, you can see whoever took it out. And then you can take it upon yourself to market yourself to those people.
Okay, thank you.
And finally,
You're good.
if I can piggyback on that as well, for a lot of our projects at CTA, we work with our diversity department or diversity programs department, so for DBEs, the pre-bid meetings, that there'll be an opportunity for both the purchasing department and DBE to speak and answer questions that might be of interest to both prime contractors and subcontractors, and also with the pre-bid or pre-proposal meeting, that would also give an opportunity for prospective primes and subs to network and exchange information as they're forming their bids.
One more final silly question. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You can take as many of these as you
Well, I
want.
don't know that everybody else wants to do that. To become a prime, just to confirm, you have to be awarded the contract, or is there a list of prime contractors that you generally go to?
No, there's no particular one that we go to.
Not you in particular, I'm saying in general, are there primes that you guys To be considered a prime, you have to be awarded a contract, yes?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so I,
The answer was,
But there are a list of primes as it relates to pool contracts.
as it relates to pool contracts.
Well, the pool contract is a request for qualification, so you have to be qualified to become a member of the pre-qualified pool.
Got it.
Right, that's different.
And so for projects in that pool, those are the vendors who are solicited.
Sure.
But they still have to get compliant.
Sure,
Right,
I
it's
got
still
it.
compliance all the way around.
understood.
Right.
Thank you.
but in many cases, when you look at the contracts that are awarded to, in the past,
Sure.
you can kind of figure out.
The same ones?
Yeah, right. You can kind of figure out who's who, and then you can, like she said, market yourself to those people. And also, let me just add, this is a piece from yesterday's class, our first look class with the water department. We were talking about it with the water department and with some of the vendors that were in there yesterday. And it was, it's always suggested by, when we do those matching events, some of the primes say, well, I talked to some subcontractors, but they don't have everything that we're looking for. So it may behoove you in some cases, if you don't have everything, that you might look for another subcontractor and the two of you go to that prime. Because they said, now that makes sense. We've been trying to tell them that, but a lot of people don't want to hear that. Doesn't mean that you got to form a business together, but you got to form an agreement that, you know, you are going to market yourself. And to be real honest with you, and I'm sure Mark, May, and Brendan might have come across that, when I go out and I do the vendor fairs for other agencies, you will find sometimes two different vendors that met at that function are coming to you to ask questions about an opportunity. So it isn't unheard of. It's something that you all should think about because it might be of some interest to you and might help you get your feet wet so that you can become a prime or a full-fledged subcontractor in doing whatever you need to do.
And that two-party sub-agreement that you speak of is applicable to all entities, i.e. the CTA and or the public Chicago Park District?
So if I'm understanding, the question was, if two subcontractors join together to market themselves to a prime contractor, if that's permissible across all agencies. So obviously each prime will have their own individual agreement with the prime contractor, but that's not to say that the two of them can't join forces and see that there's strengths and numbers of going to a prime contractor and saying, I know you're looking for all these services, both of us together will have everything you need.
Thank you.
So, I think what I can say about that is that anyone can market themselves. If two companies want to get together and form some kind, I consider that a joint venture. If they want to get together and have a joint venture and then they market themselves as a joint venture to whomever they want, be it they market themselves as a prime or they market themselves as a joint venture to a prime. I do think it could possibly pose some, if there were certified companies, an MBE and a WBE, I don't know that they would get credit for both. You know, you have to take a look at that and see how that joint venture breaks down. So it could become complicated, and it might work tremendously in some instances. So I don't want to discourage anyone from doing that. But the other thing I'd like to say that was that is that, you know, we do see a lot of return contractors, prime contractors, and a lot of it has to do with once you're in the system and you've learned how to work the system, it becomes a niche for you. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But I do want to say that we are always constantly looking for new companies to come in and do work. So if you see the same company time and time again doing work throughout the city for different agencies, please don't let that be discouraging. We are always looking for new companies, hoping there'll be new companies. There's more competition, the better it is for us in terms of, you know, pricing and in terms of service. The more competition, you generally get better services, the quality of service, better products. So though you may see some of the same players, especially in construction, I think a lot of times you see the same players, you know. They've been around maybe for generations, but that is for no reason whatsoever not to think that you can be the first generation or the second generation to start a company that can compete with them, you know, at some point in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any other questions that you may have?
Yeah, question.
I think it's more for clarification purposes than a question. If I understand correctly, you know, the Park District, for example, has a plan of things that they want to do into that 2020. And then you solicit, when you say you're soliciting, you're looking for contractors to satisfy those particular jobs, right?
That's correct.
What is it called when you say, I have an idea that I would want to present, for example, to the Park District as something that may be beneficial for the city or the Park District? Is that a process in itself, or have we discussed that today?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a whole other process, and that process usually starts with our user department and our regional personnel. A lot of different ideas that people may have, they will go and solicit their business or solicit their ideas to that particular user department or park supervisor or region manager. And if it's interesting, you know, if it's something that can be obtained, because we're a transparent agency, you know, that would have to be, it depends on what dollar value we think it might be. If it's under $5,000, then it's something that they can incorporate into their park, then they can do so. If it's an idea that can be a long-term opportunity for a vendor, but for a district-wide project, it will have to be advertised. But it definitely advertised to the public.
But you're saying you go to the Park District itself, the supervisor of the park, and you
Correct.
present it on a park-by-park basis versus
Or region.
or a
Yeah,
regional.
Right. Park by park, region, area managers.
So they have to, obviously, it seemed like it would be a lot easier to get in touch with maybe a Park District supervisor. Is there a directory or something where you may be able to locate a region or regional?
Yes, the region office numbers are on our website. We're at www.chicagoparkdistrict.com. And yes, so all the managers, region office names and numbers are on the website.
I've been with the Park District for about 3.5 years, so I can't speak specifically to the Park District on that particular issue, but I have been involved with something like that. I've worked in other city government agencies, and for instance, I know there have been instances where I've been involved in where we did a pilot program. So depending on what your kind of idea is, if you market it to the corrections and they say, oh, we really want to try it out, there's a possibility of a pilot program, depending on the scope and the breadth of the kind of project you're referring to. But at some point, 9 out of 10 times, 99.9% of the time, there's going to have to be some open and public solicitation because we are a government and we believe in inclusion and competition. But sometimes there are pilot programs, you're able to do a pilot program on a small scale for some new idea that someone might think is a really good idea and they want to test it out, see if it's good. If it's truly a sole source, there are some agencies have a method by which things can be deemed a sole source and a company can get work, but even in those instances, sole sources don't last forever because it is a government and we do want open and fair competition.
Anyone else? All right, we want to say this concludes this workshop, and we will see you at the next one, and thank you so much for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you to our guest speakers, and we look forward to seeing you next year in one of our other workshops, doing business with the sister agencies. If you take a few minutes to fill out the evaluation, I greatly appreciate it. You can leave it on the desk over there. And if you have further questions for any of our speakers or myself, we are available to take